we have always getting better response from customers. Lot of footfall. From year 2015, we are participating in ProPak Asia Thailand. And this year also, due to COVID, there are lesser movement, but the key customer, who are our customer, and more people who are interested in our product are visiting frequently.
At first, Liquid Box planned to be in ProPak exhibition and have a booth, actual booth there anyway, because we know that people around the world will come to ProPak especially for the packaging business. However, the COVID situation did not support us that much to be physically being there to meet our potential client and also our partners. So ProPak has offered us a hybrid exhibition, which actually answering what we are looking for, because we still want to meet our potential clients and also our partner, but without physically being there. So that's why, with no hesitation, we actually participate in hybrid exhibition.
All right, greetings all to the last installment of the Packaging Week of ProPak Asia 2021. So today, we're going to be continuing talking about the packaging and how it's affecting us and us affecting the packaging. So today the topic is packaging disruption and game-changing innovation. And of course that today is in coordination with AIP, the Australian Institute of Packaging. And we've got quite a good and interesting content coming to you all the way from Australia. All the speakers are from Australia, in fact. So today, to give her opening remarks, the Executive Director of AIP and Vice President of Sustainability and Safe Food of WPO, I'd like to give the spotlight to you, Mrs. Narita Kelton. Take it away.
Thank you, Mark, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone that's joining us. And we thank you very much for joining us today, because we have two wonderful speakers that are developing amazing innovations and disrupting the markets that they work in. So just briefly, a little bit about the Australian Institute of Packaging. We have been around for nearly 60 years. And we are the peak professional body for packaging, training and education in Australasia. So we're not just about Australia, we cover Australia, New Zealand and Asia. So anyone in Asia listening tonight, we welcome you to assist you with your packaging education and training. It can be for yourself, for your own professional, personal development. It can be in the form of degrees like our master's course, our diploma in packaging, certificate in packaging, all the way through to certified packaging professional designation and any assistance that you need to upskill or fill knowledge gaps within your team. So we are here to help you. Please reach out to us at any point. A lot of our degrees are online, so it's nice and easy for you. It fits into your day, your working day as well. So they're very flexible modular courses, and anything that you need in terms of training, please reach out to the AIP. We have been working with ProPak Asia for a number of years now. We traditionally do come to Thailand, and we are very proud of being a part of a wonderful trade show. And we look forward to the day that we can physically come back and see you all. So I really welcome you tonight. I thank you for coming. I thank Informa Markets and ProPak Asia's team for putting this event together. And I'm going to hand back to Mark, who will introduce two exceptional speakers for the night.
All right, thank you, Narita. So it's a shame that we're not able to do this face to face in the year to come. But just for your information to all in the attendance, AIP is very active in the packaging and always at the forefront of the education for packaging. And they're a really good resource on the anything packaging related. I've learned much from Narita here and our partner of the AIP. So the first speaker will be, you find her presentation quite cute, but will be really informative. So we've got the founder of Planet Protector Packaging and the first speaker, Miss Joanne Howard. Please, you have the spotlight.
Thank you, Mark. Let me just share my screen. Thank you. Who would have thought that the humble sheep would be a secret weapon to defending our planet? As Mark said, my name is Joanne Howard, and I'm the founder and CEO of Planet Protector Packaging. I'm thrilled to be here today to share with you my story. Planet Protector is on a mission to eliminate polystyrene. We're in a race to become the market leader in sustainable thermal packaging that does not harm the planet. You see, polystyrene is a disaster for the planet. 8 million metric tons of plastic end up in the ocean every year. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation predicts that by 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. More plastic than fish? It is estimated that polystyrene takes more than 500 years to break down, if in fact it ever does. And a shocking 42% of that plastic in the ocean is coming from the packaging sector. Oceans cover 70% of the Earth's surface. Even more shocking is that 90% of the plastic in the ocean comes from just 10 rivers, and 8 of those rivers are in Asia. This plastic pouring into the ocean in our environment is rapidly outpacing our efforts to stop it. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation's report, Breaking the Plastic Wave, explains that if we fail to act by 2040, the volume of plastic on the market will have doubled. But the annual volume of plastic entering the ocean will have tripled. And scariest of all is ocean plastic stocks will have quadrupled, reaching more than 600 million tonnes. If we're truly to rise to the occasion and to save the planet, we must target these insidious waste streams at the source, preventing waste from ever entering the oceans in the first place. Polystyrene is not just a problem for the environment and the planet. It is an enormous challenge for businesses. They pay to store it, to transport it, and then they pay to dispose of it. It reflects negatively on their corporate social responsibility and their sustainability goals. And did you know that they pay inflated insurance premiums because storing polystyrene is deemed a dangerous, flammable good? Until now, there's not been a viable, cost-competitive, sustainable alternative to polystyrene. I would like to share with you my own story of how I went from being an offender to a planet protector. Here I am up there, that's me. It was 2014, and here I am in my warehouse in Sydney's West. We were contracted as the outsource partner for Australia's largest meal kit company. I was responsible for the production and nationwide logistics of this novel new concept called a meal kit. It was early days in the e-commerce sector in Australia, but we were dispatching 35,000 polystyrene boxes to households all around the country every single week. I felt like I was single-handedly destroying the planet. As a subscription-based service, after 6 weeks, consumers had 6 polystyrene boxes and no way to dispose of them. It did not take very long for people to vocalise their disdain on social media platforms. I was abused many times, and I was unable to stand up and defend my client's position. It went against everything that I stood for personally. As I researched consumers' concerns more and more, I realised that expanded polystyrene was a material that I simply could not integrate into my business anymore. I knew I had to do something. I could not remain silent. And it was this that compelled me to research a more sustainable alternative. So what's the solution? As I said, the solution is the humble sheep. The solution is wool. What we've done is take a waste stream, waste wool, to create an ingenious product to replace polystyrene. Our solution is disruptive. It is made primarily of sheep waste wool, the underbelly of the sheep, the parts that nobody wants. Up until now, there was very limited demand commercially for it, as it was not suitable for the textile industry. Wool is undisputedly the best natural insulator on the planet. We wanted to leverage the thermal properties of wool. Essentially, we love to say we're borrowing from nature. Just as the wool keeps the sheep warm in winter, so too it keeps them cool in summer. Woolpack has many product features that make it the leader of the pack. All of our materials fit within the circular economy. Our product offers superior thermal performance as against all other competitors in the market, and we're at a competitive price point to polystyrene. Wool is compostable and it's 100% renewable. Sheep are shorn every year, and the shearing yields 3 kilos of wool, and by this time next year, there's another 3 kilos. There's literally hundreds of millions sheep in the world. So our product provides cushioning in transit, and it's compliant with all food safety and pharmaceutical standards, as well as being airline approved. Importantly, it's flat packed on arrival, it saves on storage space and reduces transport, so no more shipping air. We live in amazingly exciting times. Consumers can now give instant feedback to the companies they purchase from, influencing future development of the brand and the product offerings. In fact, in 2020, a study conducted by Trivent Packaging and Boston Consulting found that 75% of consumers are willing to pay a premium for sustainable packaging. Within Australia, the Republic of Everyone recently surveyed 2,000 Australians across a very broad demographic. They found that the number one societal concern was plastics, and the number 3 concern in Australia was the oceans. Businesses are hearing the message loud and clear. A DHL Trend Research Global Customer Survey last year reported that 9 out of 10 companies say that evaluating their packaging is very high on their agenda. And the number one packaging focus for them is to introduce more environmentally responsible packaging materials. So now about us. Planet Protector is proud to boast more than 300 customers across Australia and New Zealand. Our client segments encompass producers, wholesalers, retailers, consolidators and distributors in the food, the seafood and the pharmaceutical spaces. These are the 3 largest users of polystyrene. In the food space, we assist clients in shipping everything from meal kits to fresh produce to chocolates, artisan goods, dairy and wine. For pharmaceuticals, we're shipping IV medications, vaccines, chemotherapy, IVF and veterinary drugs. And the momentum is growing on a daily basis. In the past year, we've made significant inroads into the pharmaceutical sector, signing with multiple multinational medicines and pharma companies to ship everything from chemotherapy to probiotics. In addition to our bespoke offerings, we have a wide range of off-the-shelf standard products catering to each sector's individual pain points. Our food protector gives our clients the ability to distribute their products to new export markets in faraway places. Our seafood protector is water resistant, leak proof, and thermally superior to reduce spoilage of seafood, a premium item. For pharmaceuticals, at a time where safe delivery of vaccines has never ever been more important, our solution can be customised to achieve up to 120 hours of cold chain performance. Finally, we've developed a beautiful range of home compostable pouches designed for the e-commerce space, ensuring that small artisan goods, dairy, yogurts, probiotics arrive to the customer in the same pristine condition in which they were dispatched. I frequently get asked how our products work and how it pieces together in the circular economy. Our patented technology uses wool unsuitable for the textile industry, as I said. This has until now been designated as a product for landfill. The wool is first scoured and felted and cut to liners, which are then encased in a choice of either a recyclable or a home compostable film. 2 interlocking liners are placed into regular slotted shipping carton to cover all the internal walls of the package. All components of Planet Protector products have an end of life which fits into the circular economy, keeping unnecessary waste products out of landfill. The carton, even with a water-resistant coating, is easily recyclable in the traditional recycling streams. The wool is home compostable, able to be put into the garden, the green bin, or reused in a multitude of ways, such as pet bedding, wool compost for the garden, beehives, worm farms, and a multitude of other household applications that we've developed. Our film is either soft plastic recyclable or home compostable based on your preference. We find companies gravitate to one or the other based on the local recycling realities of their customers. Our material choices ensure that we're not just providing sustainability lip service, as do many companies. Many companies in this space like to make representations of their products' recyclability, knowing full well that functionally the end user will not be able to return the product to the specialised facility in which it's able to be processed. We detest this practice of greenwashing, and whilst we are not perfect, we believe being honest about the limitations of the greener processing ecosystem enables us to explain our materials choice and educate our customers in a logical and informed way. As you can see here, Woolpack outperforms not only polystyrene, but all other competitor products currently in the Australasian markets. We work with our clients to understand their supply chains, and we customise a fit-for-purpose, cost-effective solution, ensuring that the product will stay within the required temperature range for longer than a standard product off the shelf. We invested very heavily in R&D and new product innovation. Our lobster protector that you see here, the lobsters travelling in style, it's attracted global interest, and it won the 2020 Gold Award in the PETA Awards, and subsequently took out the World Star Packaging Award in 2021. Locally, lobsters are a $10 million industry segment, and just literally a drop in the ocean to what is the potential for this product globally. Our newest and most exciting innovation is the recently patented vaccine protector, thermal packaging for the COVID-19 frozen vaccine. This solution amazingly can maintain temperature of -70°C for transport to rural areas which do not have adequate cold chain infrastructure. And we're excited to launch our wine protector solution in the middle of this year. This will protect both domestic and international shipments from ambient temperature spikes in transport, ensuring high-value wines arrive to their destination in perfect condition. At Planet Protector, we set ourselves audacious goals. We plan on having a presence in at least 5 countries throughout Southeast Asia by 2024. We will achieve this by having a very strategic network of distributors. Our vision for 2021 is to vertically integrate our supply chain and to establish a manufacturing base in Asia to support and accelerate the growth into the region. This will ensure that we are able to maintain quality control of our product as well as our margins. We're currently working with UNIDO, the United Nations in Mongolia, to establish a processing facility to service the Asian market ahead of our targeted launch in early 2022. This program has been extremely successful and will allow us to invest directly into the hands of local sheep farmers and cooperatives, ensuring their economic security through turbulent times. For such a small team, I'm so proud of our incredible impact to date. So far, we've removed 7 million polystyrene boxes from supply chains. This is just the start. We've diverted nearly 3,500 tonnes of waste wool away from landfill, and we've given it a new life and a commercial value. And we've generated close to 8 million of new revenue for sheep farmers. We've been very well recognised for our disruptive innovation. I'm proud to be the first ever Australian laureate in the prestigious Cartier Women's Initiative. And I'm especially proud of Team Planet Protector's win, where we took our top prize in the inaugural 2020 Ocean Impact Pitch Fest from more than 200 businesses across 38 countries. In 2021, we're already off to an amazing start. We've taken home 3 categories in the World Star Packaging Awards in food, transit, and materials and components. In addition, we've been selected as an Australian finalist in the Extreme Tech Challenge, a world-renowned startup competition which sees top companies from all over the globe pitching to multinational investors. And this is just in the first 3 months of this year. There's no limit to what we will achieve. So how can you become a Planet Protector? We can't do everything, but we can all do something. So we're currently on the hunt for the following: packaging distributors to help bring our vision of Asian expansion to fruition in 2022. We're looking for investors to participate in our Series A round, set to begin within the next month. We are looking for long-term strategic impact investors with expertise to support our rapid growth and expansion into Asia. And if you're somebody that uses polystyrene, or you know somebody that would benefit from an introduction to Planet Protector, please reach out to us. Our flock is growing every day and we're here to help. Thank you for the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me today to share with you my own vision of a polystyrene-free world.
All right, thank you, Joanne. So it has been finally revealed what is the packaging disruption and game-changing innovation. It's about sustainability. So with the trends that we see this year, it has become even more in the spotlight on how we can contribute, but also is also in our hands as a consumer, as brand owners, as a human being, on how we can contribute to the environment and sustainability. So not only that, we have come to you with this session on the content, also Joanne has come to you with the business opportunity as well, right? So if your business or you know anyone looking to get into the more sustainable packaging solution, logistics, as well as all the solutions that Joanne mentioned, feel free to get in touch with her. So I'd like to remind all in the audience that if you have any questions, please drop in the Q&A box. We'll have a Q&A session at the end. So speaking of disruptive, the next speaker is from Disruptive Packaging. Now, the director of Disruptive Packaging is our next speaker. I'd like to welcome, to give the spotlight to Mr. Nathan Hall. Nathan, please take it away.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon, depending on where you are throughout the world this evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Nerida and Mark and the team at Informa for inviting me to talk to you all this evening. I'd also like to say that I've worked with Joanne before from Planet Protector, and she is amazing, and the team is doing a fantastic job to try and get rid of polystyrene. And I think they're doing a fantastic job, and they're a little bit further down the road than Disruptive Packaging, but we are a fairly new company from a commercial launch point of view. We launched in early 2019, and we launched with two brands called Uniqcor and Uniqcor, and hence why we're talking with you this evening, because this is Disruptive Packaging talking about disrupting the industry. So Uniqcor is a replacement for conventional wax cardboard in cold chain environments or a humid area or a moist environment, and also polystyrene packaging similar to Joanne. It's also 100% recyclable. So simply put, Uniqcor is a plastic and rare earth corrugated box. It is completely waterproof, and it is starting to change the game in regards to what is out there for an external shipper. So we like to think that it's packaging that is better, stronger, and greener than the alternatives. And I'd like to reflect on Joanne's comments is we're not perfect, but we are one step forward to try and save this wonderful earth of ours. So our product is very important to us, and I think everyone needs to understand our why. The why of why we developed this concept is I have 25 years supply chain experience in food manufacturing, and similar to Joanne, I was using thousands of polystyrene eskies a week, and I could not do it anymore. So the new product we've come up with, Uniqcor, when we're actually producing it, these are some of the statistics that we have around a carbon comparison about when we compared to cardboard or polystyrene or wax cardboard. But we use a quarter of the energy and electricity required to produce our product compared to cardboard or polystyrene. We use 92% less energy when we recycle the product. It's very low energy. We have less pollutants in the product. There's no adhesives in the product, so to speak, like the cardboards of the world. And we're also 80% less CO2 emissions. And the overwhelming number that's not there, that it may not be so important around the world as it is in Australia, but we also do not use any water in the production of our product. When you recycle cardboard and you actually produce cardboard, for example, you use a lot of water, and in Australia, we don't have a lot of water. So this is our why. We're actually doing it just like the Planet Protector team. We see a better vision for the environment, and hopefully everyone can join us on the path. So the why, that's our why. Let's go to why you guys should choose Uniqcor as a way of a packaging solution moving forward. So it's sustainable, and in my opinion, the most important piece of Uniqcor is that it's reusable multiple times. So we have a seafood customer that is using it up to 10 times and then recycling it. So when we talk about adding value to the circular economy, we're actually changing the way people can actually utilize their packaging within that economy. The product is 100% waterproof. So it is washable, can be sanitized with chemicals and reused. So once again, in the seafood market, we have the ability that we can sanitize it in a chlorine base and then reuse the product multiple times. The print quality on the carton is something that's attracting a lot of people. The box on the top right-hand side is a new product we've just launched for Ida spear asparagus in the USA. And the top of that box is actually their family photo, which we always like working with family businesses first. But that's a family photo that's everyone that's involved with growing asparagus for their company. So they're extremely proud that they can actually put their family photo on a Uniqcor box, which then can be supplied to the market and everyone gets to know exactly who's growing their product. So we've got a 4 and a 10 color print possibility, and a lot of people are taking advantage of that for sure. And I've got some examples a little later to show you. I am, as I said before, I'm a supply chain expert for the last 25 years. And the next point is probably the most important that we don't talk about in regards to the carbon offset, but we can increase logistics efficiency up to 50% when compared to polystyrene. As Joanne was saying, people actually freight a lot of polystyrene around the place. It is often empty, so you're freighting air. When it is actually filled with product, on each side of the polystyrene box, you've got 20 to 30 millimeters that is taking up space. Our products range from 2 to 5 millimeters. So that means that if we were to get 10 layers high of polystyrene on a pallet of goods, because we don't need the same type of thickness to our product, we can actually go to 12 or sometimes 14 layers high. So in one seafood trial we did out of Tasmania, which looks to be successful and ongoing, is we increased the amount of product that they can put on a pallet by 50%. So if I was to rephrase that for everybody, it means that we reduced their freight bill by 50%, and their freight bill was just over $20 million a year. So that's a big one for myself. The next point is in regards to the cold chain. So whether it's going into refrigeration or going into freezers, or even one of the challenges we have in North Queensland, which will be very similar to some countries in Asia, humidity is a major problem that leads to cardboard cartons collapsing. Our product is a mix of HDPE and rare earth materials. And when it goes into a cold chain, it actually gets stronger and gets more rigid. So that means that we can actually get our box, put, for example, beans or corn in it. It goes through a piece of equipment called a hydrocooler at 2 degrees. And that's when 2-degree water runs through the carton for half an hour. And then it comes out the other side, and our product is actually stronger than when it went into the hydrocooler. So we've had a large amount of success in replacing cardboard boxes in cold chains locally and throughout the world at the moment. So that's why everyone, in my opinion, should be trying to use Uniqcor, because there's a lot of advantages to it. Similar to Joanne, but I don't have as many awards as Joanne as yet, and the Planet Protector team. We're involved and with the World Star Packaging Awards and got silver. We won the Produce Markets Australia Innovation Award. Once again, we're in innovation winner for the PETA Australian Institute of Packaging Awards. So all I can say is for 18 months from commercial release of Uniqcor into the market, wow is about the only word that I've got to share that with you. We're not here to go out and win awards. We're actually here to try and help the environment, and that's our why. So it's a piece of humble pie that we like to share with people to let them know that we're doing very well. But by all means, when people get their hands on the product and understand what we do, the best impact that we can all have is to try it and see if it's going to work to you to try and replace some of those products we talk about. So I've got a lot of pictures to show you to understand what we can do, There's the produce sector, which we'll talk about first, and then there's the seafood sector after that. So in the produce sector, there's hand erect cartons that we're doing, and then we've also got machine erect cartons as well. So even though we're a small Australian company, and I say small, our team is literally 5 people at the moment, we are doing quite well from a global point of view. So the top left, we've got some asparagus boxes that we've dropped into Mexico for trials. So there was a few 100,000 of those, and the trials have been sent to multiple countries around the world. That fits into the recycling chains that they already have. So that's been quite successful to date. We also have a broccolini box at the top in the center, which is a long type of broccoli, for those that don't know what it is, but it's packed in a very wet environment and a cold environment. So that product's very thin, but very strong. So that actually replaces polystyrene directly. The grape industry, which is on the top right, that's the first product we launched in 2019 with grape growers in Mildura in Australia, and we exported a lot of that product throughout Asia. And we happened to be at the markets in Shanghai when our product arrived, and our product of grapes was put next to a pallet of grapes in the Uniqcor product, was next to a pallet of grapes in cardboard and a pallet of grapes in polystyrene. The Uniqcor product had the best quality comments from all the agents, and it actually sold all of our product every day we were there before anyone actually purchased any cardboard or any polystyrene products. So the grape industry is really seeing a lot of growth in the last 18 months. So we're currently at about 2.5 million boxes coming out of the Mildura and Australian market, mostly for export, which is great. The 2 corn boxes on the bottom left and the bottom right are really starting to become a large market. When you produce corn, you pick it and put it in a box, and you actually put it through that hydrocooling system I was talking about, where you run 2-degree water, so ice cold water, through a box and through the product to try and remove the heat. And these boxes have been tried in Australia, Mexico, California, and we have been successful to date. So these boxes have up to 48 cobs of corn in them, put in a hydrocooler, and then withstand the cold chain to travel across America. And we've been successful to date. So corn's a very big market that's opening up. The box at the bottom in the center that's our box to demonstrate to people that we actually can do a 10-color print. So when we approach farmers to do an artwork, they would say, this is a great box, I'd like it to be bright blue with a red star on it. We try and show them that we can be a lot more than that. So that produce box is doing very well in Australia. And as it goes, it's a 72-litre box. So it's rather large for the likes of lettuce and cauliflower. And it's actually going through the cold chain quite well. And that directly replaces wax cartons. So in Australia, we've got just over 600,000 tonnes of wax cardboard that currently goes to landfill. So if we can replace that, it's one step forward once again. And all these are hand erect for smaller growers, but actually erecting on farm, in a shed, or literally in field at the same time. And the positive thing about that is it can actually get wet out in the environment. If you're in the farm, on the field, if you've got a cardboard box, you can't actually pack in the rain. So these products you can have in the rain and you can pack, and they only get stronger. The next slide shows the erected cartons that are machine erect. So we're starting to put machines into multiple locations throughout Australia. The top left is our beautiful banana box with lots of bananas on it. And the shot in the middle is a fully palletized pallet of bananas that went from North Queensland to Sydney into Melbourne, which is the best part of 3,500 kilometres. And our product withstood that journey with flying colours. So the pallet actually the product actually got shunted off the pallet by about 10 centimetres, and normally cardboard would fall over. Our product, because it was in a cold chain, actually withheld all the stresses and continued to stand upright. And it actually made a couple of articles at the Melbourne markets because people were astounded at the new product. The bottom left is the corn product I was talking about earlier. So this is a different style. It's a tray. So it's a machine erect box, and this customer is doing upwards of 600,000 or 700,000 boxes a year. And this tray enables it to go through that hydro-cooling solution. The trials have been done and they're successful. So now we're actually looking at putting a machine up at Bowen in North Queensland. And on the right-hand side, we have some more tray products for avocados and papaya. So the biggest products that are produced in North Queensland, which is a very humid environment, have a big problem with cardboard. When they put their products in it, the cardboard actually sags in the middle because it gets moist. So that means the box and the weight of the products sit on the ones underneath it and therefore damage the fruit underneath, which is major financial loss for some growers. Our product, once the product is packed in it, it doesn't sag, it actually holds its rigidity, which means that there's no loss and it actually can get reused at the other end just as well as when it started the journey. The bottom box on the right, the mango box, is one of our better stories. This grower was so excited about our box, he went and captured a sunset on his farm and then gave us the artwork and said, I want that on the side of my box. So that is actually a picture of his sunset on his farms with his mango trees that we're erecting for him now. So when we do have the volume, we are very competitive with a direct cardboard relationship. And for people that would like to understand more about the comparison to cardboard, is when you actually recycle the Uniqcor product, if we actually put 1,000 boxes into the recycling plant, we can make another 1,000 boxes. There's no yield loss, so to speak, and we don't use any water. When you recycle a cardboard box, you put 1,000 boxes in and you normally recover between 600 and 700 boxes. So that means that there's a fairly reasonable large loss in regards to content. And on average, they use between 20 to 30 litres of water to produce 1 kilo of recycled cardboard. So from a recycling point of view, overall in a circular economy, I think our Uniqcor product really provides a better opportunity than sitting with cardboard. So from a seafood point of view, we're actually going really strong in the Australian market and starting to break into overseas as well. So we've got fish boxes that are leak proof. So customers are putting fish directly into these boxes, some without liners, putting the fish in, covering it with ice, and then treating it like a normal box through the supply chain to their restaurants. And then some customers are picking those boxes up, taking them back and reusing them, cleaning them, reusing them multiple times, up to about 10 times, and then recycling the product. So these seafood customers literally have been using polystyrene. So we're back on the Planet Protector objective as well as trying to remove polystyrene. If you just think about what I just said, if they use this box 10 times and they can't do that with polystyrene, if they get 2 or 3 uses out, that's great. These guys have moved to Uniqcor and actually dropped the amount of money that they're spending on packaging, which they're quite excited about. We also do mussel boxes at the bottom left and the top right in New Zealand and out of Australia. Once again, they're leak-proof boxes. So the product remains cold. When it goes into the supply chain, it's a cold environment. The boxes only get stronger, so they can be packed up to 12 or 14 cartons high on a pallet. So they're quite efficient. The fish boxes in the middle just demonstrate the quality of print that we can have on our seafood boxes. And that has started to take off as well, just for smaller operators from a generic box point of view. The other growth that we're seeing at the moment is on the bottom right, we've got similar to what we call a produce bin in Australia, but it's a large bin to replace the cardboard bins that are out there at the moment that people put pumpkins in, cabbages in, fish in. And this box is seafood that is produced around Brisbane in Queensland. They put 350 kilos of fish in it, fill it with ice, and then they send it to Sydney and Melbourne, which is up to nearly 2,000 kilometres away. And they can stack it too high, just like you can with the normal cardboard comparators. The key for this box is it can be washed out, sanitised and reused. So we're finding a lot of growth in that large, we call it a produce bin, but a large bin type vessel that people can put bulk product into. So back to the polystyrene piece, we're not doing just polystyrene. We're trying to tackle wax cardboard. We're trying to tackle cardboard that's got any type of plastic liner on it. because I've been through a lot of recycling plants in Australia, and a lot of plants cannot recycle anything that's lined with plastic. It's a challenge. So we are an alternative that can provide a solution in those spaces. So we're building our own circular economy, and I really like the comments earlier from Mark and Joanne that we have to think locally. You've really got to own your own customer base, provide a great solution if you're a business, and try and close the loop yourself. And then once you actually exhaust the value in that product, then recycle it through the channels that you've got available to you. So we've got points that we have in each capital city in Australia now that we've got places to drop Uniqcor, and we've got some government funding in each of those sites to actually help recover that product. And then we are getting it all back to a couple of bases where we are value adding that product. And most of the time we're trying to get it back to make more Uniqcor products, but there is also a need for our HDPE material to be used in other avenues. So people are using it to make matting or waterproofing or pallet pads. As far as I'm concerned, as long as it's getting reused as much as possible and recycled, that really ticks the box for myself, because it means we're taking a large step forward to try and solve many of the problems that we have at the moment. So what I would like to do is I'll just sum up at the moment and let you know that Uniqcor is available in multiple countries at the moment, and we have got some agents throughout some of the Asian countries, but you can always contact us over the website or on the social media pages. But what I'd like to do now is end this presentation with one of our customer testimonials. This is the fishery that is just north of Brisbane in Queensland, and they did a testimonial to assist us in our trying to help people understand closing the loop, because this is one of those customers that's actually nearly more passionate about our product than ourselves. So if I can get the Informa team to play the video for me, that would be fantastic. And thank you very much for your time.
In 30 years, I've seen some huge changes in the seafood game, and one of them obviously is going to be the change of the foam box.
I've never met a commercial fisherman or any sort of seafood operator that isn't proud to present their product in the best possible way.
Our prawns and seafood is renowned all across the world. We've got a huge distribution market here that we supply a lot of the restaurants and places on the Sunshine Coast.
A box is not a box, particularly in the seafood industry.
Barramundi, Scotty and medium tail.
I was hearing a lot of feedback about this new product that looked good, performed well, was strong, and I wanted to know more about it.
I think this Uniqcor product is a game changer.
I've been impressed with what it can do in the environments that it's exposed to. It's an extremely strong product.
It's flat packed, it's very strong, waterproof, leak proof.
It always looks great. The printing is outstanding.
For us, I tell you, it is a no-brainer. Getting our name out there, this is one of the best ways.
They get reused and they get recycled as well, so really good.
From the primary producer, from the trawler operator, all the way through to the wholesaler and the restaurateur, there's certainly a lot more momentum day by day for recycling and reusability, and this product certainly ticks those boxes.
The less polystyrene, the better, especially in a restaurant setting. You don't want poly flying around and stuff. Happy fish, happy life.
But we've found when using the product with the ice that we're putting in them, the ice is holding, the product is lasting just as well, if not better. And again, we get to reuse the boxes several times more than what we do with the foam boxes.
They stack well, easy to handle, and I like working with them.
We're excited to be a distributor of an exciting new product like Uniqcor. We see lots of opportunities for, expanded use in the marketplace.
So after the Uniqcor product trial, we had a managers meeting, went around the board. It was just yes, 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 yes. It was a very quick meeting. We're on board.
Thank you very much, guys. I'll throw back to you, Mark.
All right, thank you, Nathan. Actually, both of you have stimulated quite a good questions, rounding in quite a bit of a interesting question. And actually, I'd like to all of you to open up your video, including you, Narita. I'd like to answer for all of you as a roundtable, and provide the answer for Dr. Berry. Actually, Dr. Berry writes in the chat. Disruptive innovation theory in the packaging industry, We are searching ways to create superior innovations in the industry, which can compete against the oil-based solution, i.e. plastic. However, they face challenges as they attempt to launch products in the market and the theory of disruptive innovation. The theory has received much attention throughout the years and provides with a holistic literature framework to analyze the paper and plastic industry. What is your suggestion for packaging disruption and game-changing innovation to do with sustainability? Because this is the big problem in all company flexible packaging in the world. I'd like for you to start, Nerida, actually. Would you like to respond to that question?
Sorry, so I'm just trying to understand what the question would be.
In short, I would say, how can the solutions that we see today from Nathan and Joanne compete with plastics flexible packaging?
Well, they're different products and different markets. So I think we need to talk about the examples that you've seen tonight for specific categories and market sectors. Flexible packaging has a purpose and a place, and there is a lot of innovation and material changes back to monomaterials, etc., to ensure that there's recyclability of a lot of the flexible packaging. So I think we need to separate the conversation around flexible packaging and sustainability there, which is a lot more challenging. But I can say that globally there is a significant amount of work happening in flexible packaging materials, technologies, innovations that are disruptive and extremely innovative. And I would encourage you to look at APR. I would encourage you to look at CFlex. There are a number of associations and organisations around the world that are actively working in this space. There is the Holy Grail 2.0, which is extremely disruptive and innovative, and that's flexible packaging. And then I think when you're talking about what Nathan and Joanne are talking about, it's proof in what they're doing. What they're doing is sustainable.
Right, thank you, Nerida. Joanne?
Nerida, Mark, I've seen a big change in the market even in the last 4 years. So our business has been established for just under 4 years now. And increasingly I'm seeing that it's the end users and the consumers who are driving the change. And I think that that's globally. And I see big opportunities for more disruptive type solutions in the Asian market. I know that Smithers Pera recounted that between now and 2023, 75% of all new product innovations will be in China, India and Indonesia between now and 2023. So that's really remarkable. And I think that that's going to drive, the transition to more sustainable options in the Asian market.
Right, thank you, Joanne. Nathan, would you like to respond to Dr. Barry's?
I think Joanne and Nerida have carried that very well. I'd probably take a bit of a different view on that question in where I'd like to come from. Disruption for me is about upsetting or changing direction of the market. And I'm a big believer in going against the norm, so to speak. So the type of solution that I'd say if you're going to disrupt would be to generate some energy around, and my biggest focus is actually the local impact that people can have. So it doesn't have to be a product, in my opinion. It's actually, work with your local retailers and your local caterers to find a better way to utilize what they've got, get them to a better solution, and then get the most value, extract the most value out of it for everybody in the local circular economy. I think we get caught up trying to be global and make millions of dollars. I would say let's go the other way and get more local and get close and get everyone to understand the problem. And then I think we're going to get more buy-in.
And Nathan, I'll just jump in as well. I think that going back to what Joe said is 100% correct. The biggest disruptors in the world at the moment are the consumers. They're disrupting our industry at the moment, and for the better. And I think that we are all consumers. Everyone on this webinar today is a consumer, and we do need to actively, collectively disrupt what's happening so we can be more sustainable, so we can lower our environmental impact. And I love the passion of both of you as speakers, because I think what you're doing is amazing, and we all need to get behind some disruption.
Right, thank you. So from what I see, if you talk about plastics flexible packaging and plastic waste, is also on the side of government policy, public policy. But most important is the social responsibility of each consumer. So when those things come into play as the infrastructure of closed loop of plastics, single-use plastic, producer will have to go into the way of using recycled materials, monomaterials, to be easily recyclable. There has to be infrastructure on how to convert those post-consumer use into materials, to making it, whether it's closed loop, whether it's going to be some loss in the processing stage. But as far as Thailand, I can say, Thailand has got some incentive for paper and metal packaging, post-consumer packaging, more incentive than plastic, to put that into recycling loop. So that has to be, all parties have to be involved, public, private, consumer, right? And we see, I can only give some example of Thailand. There has been a push to use rPET for quite some time now, but happens to be some of the government sector, public sector, do not approve, even though the EU has been approved to use that for a long time, but Thailand remains virgin PET. So that's just some of the things that we see as Informa, as ProPak, having speaking to multiple parties, and we're still a long way to sustainability, and it's good that we see Joanne and Nathan and Narita here as a starting point. So I have the question specifically for Joanne. This is from Nawin. Can Woolpack be reusable? If yes, how many times of reuse in chill and frozen condition?
So yes, Woolpack is reusable, Mark. We have multiple clients, or we have some clients that have set up their own closed loop recycling system, where we take them back and the wool goes through the whole process again. But we have other clients, particularly some in faraway locations like Western Australia, and big pharmaceutical clients are even reusing our product as many as 10 times. So the product is very durable. It doesn't lose its thermal properties. And yeah, they've got great performance. So it's very cost effective when you consider that.
Thank you. And I have another question for you, Joanne. I'm from Ponpot. How long of the time that the product spent in totally to decompose itself?
Okay, yes. So wool is, as I said, totally compostable. Prince Charles, he's very much in the news at the moment, but he is a very big advocate for wool globally. He has a campaign for wool. And I saw a video where he buried 2 sweaters in the grounds of Clarence House. One was 100% wool sweater, and the other one right next door to it was a polyester synthetic sweater. And 6 months later, he went back with the shovel to dig up the 2 sweaters, and where the wool sweater was, there was nothing there. It had totally disintegrated, broken down, and returned valuable nutrients into the soil. And for the polyester sweater, he could have popped it into the washing machine and worn it for dinner that night. So all of our internal testing confirms that the wool will fully break down within 6 months under the right conditions.
Thank you. That's of course because it's organic. And I hope that Prince Charles could use this news instead of the meteor storm that he's in now.
Yes, indeed.
Right.
Yeah.
Next question, let's go to Nathan. A question from Jay. How cardboards be washable? Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I may not have explained our product multiple times, but I think I need to because I get these questions a lot. It's not cardboard. It looks like cardboard. It appears like cardboard because it is a corrugated product, but it is a mix of HDPE and rare earth elements. So it goes through the normal, in Australia and globally, the number 2 recycling chain, and it is recyclable through that chain. It is not cardboard. So therefore it is waterproof, and that's how it is recycled.
All right, thank you. We have another question for you from Jay as well. How wax helps in printability?
So there is no wax in this process whatsoever. We're replacing wax cartons. So that's the very simple answer to help people understand a wax carton. They make a cardboard box out of paper. They then coat it in wax, which often falls out into your food, and we probably consume a lot of it. And then at the end of its life, it cannot be recycled because the wax is actually a contaminant. It does not help the printing scenario on a cardboard box. So it doesn't help cardboard, but in the Uniqcor product, we don't have any wax whatsoever. Our product is just HDPE and rare earth elements, and it's printed. The printer on the outside of the carton can go straight through the normal recycling process.
All right, thank you, Nathan. We have several questions coming from, I'm going to combine the two because they seem to be in the same theme, from Andrew and Shehan. So as the box contains HDPE, how can it be recyclable? How does it considered to be contaminated? Does HDPE have to be removed during the recycling?
I think there might be a little confusion about recycling, but recycling plastic or HDPE or LDPE is literally reworking that same product, extruding it again, and then that's basically my version of recyclable. So HDPE is a reasonable percentage of the product, which actually gets it to be included in the number 2 recycling logo and waste chain. So it doesn't have to be removed. We actually are recycling the HDPE and the earth elements, which can be distributed into other HDPE products. So for example, you could take one of our asparagus boxes, and if we gave it to a recycler in New Zealand, they would be able to use that to go and make a plastic brick or a plastic chair. So it is just a recyclable plastic. I hope I answered that okay.
Yes, and actually a follow-up question to the comment of Shehan. It doesn't have to be recycled at a specific location. Your response answered that already. Is it biodegradable? Is it degradable?
So no, it's not degradable, because we're like a product like Planet Protector is gold star in my opinion. The fact that it biodegrades perfectly. In the plastics world, in my opinion, is degradable is not. 10 years ago, it used to be a good solution and a bit of greenwashing for people that may not have understood what it was. But degradable is sort of pointing to a lot of microplastics and problems that we're running into at the moment. So we're not degradable. We would prefer people reuse the carton as many times as possible and recycle it. from a commercial point of view, that makes a lot of sense for a company if they're able to close the loop, because it actually means they drop their packaging costs, which is what everyone's happy about.
Thank you, Nathan. So the next question, I'm going to rephrase his question a little bit from Ponpot, and I would direct this question to first Narita. How is the government supporting, in this case, Australian government, supporting the new and green packaging producers like? And I'm going to go to Joanne and Nathan directly afterward, but I'd like Narita to provide the overview of what you see across the spectrum.
That's a great question. You know, we are very lucky that we have a federal government that is wanting Australian packaging to be sustainable. And we have a new launched National Plastics Plan that was launched last week, which shows a lot of work that's been done in the last 12 months from both the federal and state governments to try and have a collaborative and collective vision for what we see and how we meet our targets, our packaging targets in Australia. I personally attended the summit, the Plastics Summit in Parliament House last year, and the plan is an outcome of everyone being together in a room. The two biggest things for our country, which are different, particularly from Europe, as an example, is that we do not have extended producer responsibility. So we don't follow an EPR model, and a lot of countries around the world do. And I know a lot of you will be shocked by that, but we work on a voluntary commitment. And voluntary commitment is a collective across the entire supply chain, and it's brands, retailers, manufacturers, packaging suppliers, importers, exporters, etc., all the way through to the waste and recycling and collection facilities and capabilities in this country. And our targets called National Packaging, 2025 National Packaging Targets, and we have very specific goals that we have to achieve as a collective to minimise and lower environmental impact. Could they do more? Could we all do more? Absolutely. But we don't have the volume and scalability luxuries that some of the larger countries have. We have a very big geographical country with very broad ranges of temperatures and transport, as Nathan was saying, logistics nightmares. We have a lot of challenges in this country, and we have a very small population, as most of you know. We have 25 million people in a very large country. And for something to be transported from Western Australia to Brisbane to Queensland is a significant geographical and temperature challenges for our country. But I think, and I would love Nathan and Joanne to jump in here, I think that we're doing some amazing work. We can do better collectively, but we've got to work together across the entire supply chain.
Well, Nerida, I think that we're working increasingly with a number of really what I would call early adopters, who are people, businesses that are really getting the message loud and clear about the transition away from problematic plastics. And they're wanting to, as a business, leverage this as a unique selling point. So if they wait until they're tapped on the shoulder and the government imposes a tax on polystyrene or it's completely phased out, everybody then it's mandatory and people can't leverage that. Whereas at the moment, they can really make a statement that this is their sustainability ethos and it's what they stand for. And I'm seeing a big movement in that space. So that's exciting. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, I completely agree. Sorry, I completely agree with you, Joanne. The people that are moving in this space are finding the rewards exponential. So in a part of Queensland called the Sunshine Coast, there's a rather large movement to ban polystyrene altogether. And there's these little micro environments around the country that are doing this. And as that grows, the momentum will continue, and customers that jump on board early will certainly reap the rewards.
Right. So thank you. So as far as my knowledge go for the region that I'm responsible for, which is Thailand and the Philippines, it's a power of habit. You have to have something to replace it. So if we're able to offer something that is environmental friendly, that is as equally of property or superior quality to the existing packaging solutions that we have, at a manageable price and cost, of course, then of course that people would go toward the greener packaging solution. And like for Philippines, there's a deadline to ban flexible plastic, flexible packaging, without any solution on what packaging to be used beyond plastic. If you use paper, flexible paper, there still has to be plastic layer in there. It could be even harder to recycle or to make it environmental friendly, or more complicated to make it green. So even though it may look like paper on the outside, but on the inside there's still plastic layer, right? So let's go to another question. This is from Haiti, from Philippines actually. What are the latest innovation of sustainable packaging? I will give this question to Narita.
Well, if you had attended last night's webinar, then we presented quite a lot of them, and I'm sure Mark can make that available. And if you go to Contact to Informal Markets after this, there was a significant amount of global sustainable packaging options from a broad range of market sectors. I would encourage you to start there. The other place that will give you some wonderful examples, when you can have a look on the AIP website, you can have a look at all of our Australasian Packaging Innovation and Design Award winners, because we have a substantial amount of years of examples and best practice examples there. And I would also encourage you to go onto the World Packaging Organization World Star Packaging Awards website, because they list all of their winners all the way around the world in sustainable packaging. And it really is amazing to see all the different countries, what they're coming up with and how disruptive everybody's being. And it's really encouraging to see the level of advancement in sustainable packaging, certainly on a global scale. And each country's doing different things because it's related to the recyclability of their country or the needs of their country or the produce that they're selling. So World Star Awards website, AIP website, and last night's webinar.
Thank you, Narita. So I'd like to point out that if you go to propakasia.com in the section Learn and Webinar, you can rewatch the session from yesterday on the sustainable packaging with World Packaging Organization. We have a question directly for Nathan from Satit. Please confirm the TRESS protocols and load capacity for each industry. If you're able to divulge that information.
That is a really difficult question to answer, but I'll give some examples so people can understand what we do. Our material comes in multiple thicknesses, so we can have 2 millimeters up to 5 millimeters thick. And then we can also increase the density of the product. So we can go down to 700 grams per square meter, or GSM, and we can also take that up to about 2000 GSM. To put it in perspective, if I was to make a Uniqcor box at 2000 GSM, the 4 of us that are presenting this evening could stand on that box very adequately and it wouldn't break whatsoever. It's extremely strong. So it really does depend on what type of industry and application. And I don't want to try and sound like I can sweep up all markets and cover everything, but we did just do a trial for a brick company in the USA to send out sample bricks around America. And it was a successful trial, and they're putting, I think, 16 bricks in a box. So that's about 28 kilos in a Uniqcor box. So we can do whatever they want with the material. It just depends on what the supply chain would look like.
Right, thank you. So that's in the packaging design sector, and that's in the material engineer side as well. So of course that the packaging producers, such as Nathan and Joanne here, can of course customize according to the requirements, as well as shelf life, whether it's designed for shelf ready, retail ready, all those sorts of things that many of our good speakers here are able to provide those solutions. Okay, next question. I have a question for actually Nathan again from Shehan. A lot of questions from you, Mr. Shehan, I believe. After recycling an X number of times, where does the product ultimately end up? A bit of a loaded question, if you feel free to answer that.
I'll take this back to the comments we were talking about earlier about local ownership of the supply chain. If I was to live in Brisbane and supply 10,000 boxes a week and get 10,000 boxes back, we can continue that chain for the next 10 years. There's no degradation in the material at a molecular level that we've seen as yet. And we've been recycling now just over 2 years. So if the product does not get to a recycling line, then ultimately it's going to be a plastic product in the environment, which is what none of us want. But when you recycle it, the one thing we know is that we can recycle it many, many times, and we can use it across many different industries. So end of life, once again, depends on how invested we are to actually recycle.
Thank you, Nathan. So the next set of questions is going to be about circular economy. We have two questions, actually from two different sides of the world. From Sri Lanka, when are formalizing a regional initiative on circular economy? When are the formalizing a regional initiative on circular economy? I'm going to give this question to you, Narita. Do you have anything to let us know?
So I think I understand it to be the circular economy regulations for Asian region, perhaps. I would defer that to whether you have a plastics pact in your region, or whether you're adhering to each country within Asia would have their own targets. Each country would be following a different framework from Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So I can't answer that question for each country in Asia, but I would suspect that each country is doing their own, following their own targets, own regulations, and working on probably a local plastics pact under the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. I can say that Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands have just collaborated to launch ANZPAC, which is ANZPAC, and it's a plastics pact for the South Island regions, Pacific Island region, Australia and New Zealand. So I would suspect there is a plastics pact that you are also following. And Joe, you might know a little bit more on that as well.
No, I just know that they are regional, locally based, Nerida. But I know that increasingly people are working with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So no, I don't know specifically though. Yeah.
Right. So as far as circular economy for Thailand, there are several organizations that are helping that. For Thailand, there's a Thailand Institute of Packaging and Recycling Management for Sustainable Environment, shortened TIP-MSE. They are pushing the closed loop on the packaging. But of course that the government side and the public side, consumer responsibility, that has to be involved as well. And we cannot, and each country actually cannot proceed without all those parties involved. Now, speaking of the parties involved, such as EU will be including additional taxes based on carbon footprint, CO2 emission. Are we going to see this for ASEAN nation and Asian nation? Let's go to you again, Narita.
I can't answer that. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I can't answer that. Again, I think it goes back to what we were just talking about, that there probably are targets for emissions that each country in the Asian region has. I would encourage you to look at a number of the countries around you to see what their examples are. Your own country might not be doing anything, but there'll be some very good examples in the region. A lot of Asia is at the starting point of all of this. There's small steps forward, but I think there would be a few countries, because as you said, Mark, Philippines are working on some single-use plastic problematic material regulations. Thailand has been, they have their regulations now for single-use plastic. So there are a lot of things happening in the region. So I would suspect there is some carbon emission acts as well.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the same knowledge that I have, and we'd like all in the audience to hear from someone else other than Informa and ProPak Asia. It's a matter of each country's direction. Thailand banned single-use plastic, the shopping bag, I believe the beginning of last year. And what happened? People go and buy different type of plastic bag or cloth bags. But coming from Plastic Institute of Thailand, plastic is not the bad guy. Like we mentioned all along, there's always alternatives. There's always for each of the consumer to take the power in their own hands. Okay. So Shehan mentioned in the chat. Thank you again. How everyone is working toward 2025 targets and being responsible for the environment we live. It's a matter of our own, each of us doing different things. If you look at Japan, do you see trash on the streets? Do you see sewage being clogged? That's another story for Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia. Social responsibility is what we input to our children into the school on what they have to do, starting from home, into the school, into the workplace, the structure that we have to give them, that we have to program into them when they were kids, and how we're going to work toward that target. It's not brand owners. Brand owners can only do so much because they have to create the product that makes sense on the logistics, shelf life, all the while concerning budget and sales. So it has to be all of us. So I think I'll leave all with my last word. We all have the power to disrupt. We all are the game-changing innovation. It has to be a paradigm shift within all of us and the people around us, that, hey, we should be recycling, that we should be looking for alternative solution for the packaging that we have, and what we're going to do with the situation that we have. So that is all the time we have today. Thank you for all who sent in the questions, and it was really good and stimulating questions, and I hope that you get a lot out of this session. I know I get a lot out of this session. So thank you all for attending. Thank you to all the speakers, Nathan, Joanne, Narita. Good to see you all as always. Please take a few moments to, when you're on your way out, take a few moments to do the survey for us. That will help us in the creating good content coming to you. So speak up the good content. The next week, Food Week, is going to be on 7th to 8th of April. There's going to be ProPak Asia Food Industry Week. So if you're interested in any of the food trends, import, export, Thailand and Asia, Southeast Asia, new trends in food production, food processing, that is the session for you to attend, right? So from us here in Bangkok, from the speakers all the way from Australia, thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.